Last week, we talked about Symphogear G, which is quite possibly the most important season in all of Symphogear. This week, let's dive into the sequel to the cult favorite Symphogear and third season, Symphogear GX. So as always, let's get into the review. After the events of Symphogear G, the Symphogears, now with Maria, Kirika, and Shirabe, are back again to save the world. This time, though, there is a new evil, Keralu, and the machine-like autoscorers. Carol's goal is to bring upon the end of the world, the apocalypse, and she will do so with her powers of alchemy. With this new threat, the Symphogears must join with Maria, Kirika, and Shirabe to take down the evil Keralu and her autoscorers. This is Symphogear GX. Airing in 2015 and produced by Satellite, the studio which brought you Log Horizon, and director Katsumi Ono, who is the main director of the series itself, Symphogear GX is the sequel to Symphogear G. It is airing on Crunchyroll along with all of the other seasons and is 13 episodes in length with a standard runtime. Much like every season of Symphogear, the main themes are rising together as a group to take down another group which has chosen the path of, let's say, evil, though never with the intention to destroy the other side itself. This season, we see the Symphogears wage battle once again against Keralu, who simply wants to end the world for her own selfish reasons. This is likely one of the weakest parts of the season. I'm not too fond of the save the world stuff, as I feel destroying the world is a rather illogical thing to do unless you can breathe on a planet with no atmosphere or fond of living with no one really to talk to. I don't know. The big driving reason for this season feels played out by this point. I mean, season 1, we had the moon sent careening into planet Earth. Second season, we had Maria, who should totally be my girlfriend, causing havoc in some epic proportions, and then we have that again. Besides the plethora of plot holes, Symphogear seems to always retain something like this, and this is my only fault with this season. Otherwise, get ready for another action-packed Symphogear with lots of plot in most every way you can put it. This season in particular opts, though, to get a little more personal with family, showing Hibiki's family life, which after this season will always and forever be a major favorite in Symphogear. This is a much loved addition, as Hibiki was a character everyone loved because, for one, she's the main character, and for two, she's extremely charismatic and fun to like. To say she's the most endearing character in all of Symphogear would be somewhat of an understatement, but the one thing I think most people could agree on was that it would be awesome to see Hibiki's personal life a little more, and that's just what they did with this season. It's simply fantastic, and Symphogear tried to handle the topic on dysfunctional families and divorce, and while I wouldn't say it's handled as well as the tippy top of all anime, it's actually surprisingly a very well done approach, in my opinion. I get the sense that for people who watch this, they can sympathize with pretty much every party involved. It doesn't need to be 100% accurate or real to life. All this really needed to do was tell the story respectfully, and I think it nailed that aspect. This was one of my highlights of this season in respect to the story. And from an overall perspective on the story, this season was very well handled. I didn't have the same issues I personally did with Symphogear G, and I think this isn't my favorite season, but one of the most solid seasons of Symphogear there is from a story perspective. As for the characters, Symphogear this season really hits it out of the park. As evident by Symphogear G, the new cast from that season carries over with Maria, who should totally be my girlfriend, Kirika, Death Lolly, and Shirabe, the Chainsaw Lolly. With these added additions, a little redundant, of these characters, there is always a new way to tell a story with this season. How will they use them, and what will their roles be within the season? They did cause a lot of trouble after all. Well, this season does indeed focus more on this group, and as I said before, is about working together to make a good change. Though I am somewhat left amazed and also disappointed at some usage of these characters. An example of this is Kirika and Shirabe, who I feel fared much better in this season than I did in Symphogear G. And like I said in my previous review, those characters don't become truly great until XV and AXZ, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But don't be alarmed, this new pair of girls end up adding a rather charming element to the show. And we also have the addition of Keralu, the murder-hungry little girl who wants nothing to destroy the world and bring about something to the effect of a fucking apocalypse. Yeah, it's actually kind of hokey to have a little girl like Keralu be this simple, super dangerous person trying to destroy the Earth. But actually, it works for Symphogear. Symphogear is already way out there in weeb shitbokers territory, offering some of the most entertaining and bizarre stories in anime this decade. It's much like if JoJo had sex with DBZ, then their child had sex with Sailor Moon, and then finally, their child had sex with Kill la Kill, then also an affair with Naruto. So, to see Keroru in this role, yeah, it's stupid. Yeah, right. Oh man, this season is crazy in that sense. Keroru and the auto scores were absolutely some of the most fun parts of this season for sure. As for Maria, another new addition to the Symphogears, well, she's amazing. Maria is simply one of my favorite in all of Symphogear for many reasons. How she calls her mom Mamu, her random ass bunny ear hair, and of course, the fantastic voice acting of Yoko Hikasa, who you may know as Mio from K-On! I'm a sucker for her work, so of course she's one of my favorites, but also there is that time Maria and Chris join up to attack by touching boobs. Maria is just fun to say the least. She's an all-timer for me. And overall, Symphogear GX is really, really good with characters, and especially characterizations. That latter one is the best selling point of Symphogear for its characters. Never will you forget any character in Symphogear ever. They're all so memorable and fun, and their out-of-nowhere designs and motivations keep Symphogear alive and entertaining. Art here gets a step up from Symphogear G, and this is a trend you'll see with every Symphogear. Each season looks better than the last in some aspects. Backgrounds look more detailed, characters show their growth physically by looking more mature and grown, and designs for outfits are changed up and look even better than the previous season. Symphogear proves you can't stop progress, and it's one of the best series to see how far it's come with each season. But what about the new villains? We've talked enough about the other Symphogears in the past videos. Well, Keroru is a lolly, and her design is solid. It's not something I'm going to write home about anytime soon, that's for sure. Probably the most forgettable design in all of Symphogear would be Keroru, and that's essentially because of the nature of her character. As for the auto scores, they look rather out there, and the most different of any design for antagonists in Symphogear to date. While I wouldn't say these are my favorite, as XV and AXZ have some really good designs, this, much like Keroru, is solid, yet might be less forgettable based on the nature of their characters, but still will get lost in the shuffle, comparing all of the other antagonists. Oh boy, Symphogear GX ramps up the animation in this season by having the first episode cut down K2, yes, K2 the freaking mountain in size, literally with their fists. Much like AXZ, Symphogear GX at this point finds its audience and just says, let's just do the absolute craziest shit you'll ever see since like Kill la Kill or JoJo. Not only that, the animation itself is incredibly smooth and by far the reason to watch this series to begin with. If you can't find Symphogear GX's animation exceptional and entertaining, you should maybe reconsider some of that stance. While the animation only gets better in other seasons, Symphogear GX is about where the series started to just understand what it was about and thus excels at this aspect pretty well. Elements Garden is back again to deliver on some great stuff. And while we also have Chris and Tsubasa's voice actresses returning to provide their voices for the main opening and ending songs again, the best moments are easily the fight scenes and the build up to them. This is one thing Symphogear is known for. It's an anime about girls fighting while singing and blowing things up to literal high heavens. And in this season, Elements Garden starts to really experiment and deliver on a lot of music, both sung and instrumental. So for me, this is about where I'd say I got into the music of Symphogear heavily. In that aspect, it's second to none, and I'm totally going to pick up some of this score when I can. In closing, I am extremely satisfied with what they offered in Symphogear GX. This is the third season of Symphogear, and by far it's the most solid yet in the series. If by now you weren't sold on what Symphogear is, chances are you won't ever be. But this is where Symphogear really starts to turn a curve here into something more than just explosions and cute girls singing while horrific violence is happening. This is where Symphogear starts to show its inspirations, and grows into the cult hit that it has now become. While Symphogear G is important to the DNA of Symphogear itself, Symphogear GX is where Symphogear starts to become truly a great anime. And in my next video, we will be reviewing Symphogear AXZ, which is one of, if not, the best seasons in Symphogear, and as well the series' first example of it showing that it's truly a great anime. So with that being said, thanks everybody for watching this video. Make sure to give a like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Comment down below what your thoughts are on Symphogear and Symphogear GX as a whole, and as well know that I have a Patreon page where on the $1 tier and above you will get access to everything on it. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.